Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going to be painting 3 different abstract watercolor landscapes to help train our artist's eye. As you can see, to prep my paper, I've just taped it off into 3 different sections with washi tape. To keep my focus on what's going on the page, I'm pre-selecting 3 colors, only 3 colors for each panel. I'm going to start with primary colors for this one, so red, yellow, and blue, and I'm just going to paint rows of circles of each following that pattern. So a row of red circles, a row of yellow circles, and a row of blue circles. And you'll notice that I did leave a little white space on the top. I like to do this so there's room to play with the colors later on. We'll get there. And something else I want to mention is that I'm keeping my brush very wet. So when I put the colors down, they're fluid and they can kind of flow together. So notice how we're only using red, yellow, and blue, the primary colors, but they're flowing together and they're creating greens and purples and oranges and browns. And it's becoming very rich in color, even though I'm only using 3 different colors. So at this point, you might be sitting here thinking, well, those colors look pretty together, but this sure doesn't really look like a landscape. This is where we train our artist's eye. Once you're satisfied with the amount of fluid on the paper, start pushing colors into one another. Make vertical strokes upward and connect colors. And start looking for things that you might see in a landscape. Like, I'm noticing these greens. I'm like, oh, well, if I'm pushing this vertically, it's gonna start to look like trees. Okay, so once I get these trees in place, what else could I see here? And feel free to blot off some of the liquid, it'll make some lighter spaces too, so that can give you more ideas. But yeah, just play around. I'm like sitting here thinking, well, could look kind of like a setting sun, but that's really big. So you know what? I'm just gonna make an orange sky. Okay, now I kind of have a frame for this scene. Now to me, this is starting to look like the foundation of a piece. This is starting to look like a snapshot of lake and forest. So I'm going to start creating my landscape using this foundation. And I've removed enough water from the paper that I can now add in more color without it flowing all over the place. And I'm still using those same 3 colors that I was in the beginning, red, yellow, and blue. But now that the paper is covered with a vast array of colors, I'm still going to it's going to be naturally color mixing as I paint, which is kind of cool. Now, as I'm painting in these pine trees, in this lighter area, I'm realizing, oh, this kind of looks like a lake, maybe a reflecting pool. And these trees over here that I'm painting, they're also edging another body of water. And that red that you're seeing right below it, that red, orange, and yellow mixture, that is the sky. So now I've got these beautiful clusters of trees and these nice reflecting pools, these lovely lakes. So you can see how it's, if you start with one element and go with it, you can start to make those connections to the other elements around it. And before you know it, you're going to have a beautiful painting. Okay, the first panel is complete. I think that's lovely and vibrant. Great. So let's move on to the next one. And I think I'm going to use secondary colors for this. So that would be our purple, green, and orange. And I'm going to start this piece the same way I started the other one, by just painting rows of shapes, alternating those colors. So I'm going to do orange triangles, green triangles, purple triangles for this one. Oh, and if you accidentally get out of color order like I did here, don't sweat it. It'll just add more visual interest to your painting. And again, to get my foundation going, I'm just going to start making little strokes and curves and dotting things until something catches my eye. Another thing that is going through my mind is, what does this combination of colors remind me of? What kind of landscape does it bring to mind? And for me, this particular combination of colors, the way they're mixing right now, is bringing to mind a desert. And this warbly sort of outcropping that I made at the top, it kind of reminds me of a cactus that you might see, like the mirage of a cactus almost. And I'm going to make it purple because I want to make it purple. And another thing I think is really cool about this type of painting is, because there is quite a bit of fluid on the page, is that when you do add the color, sometimes they bleed out in these really cool ways, creating some bursts of texture here and there, and I think it has a really cool effect. All right, I've got a couple of cactuses in place here, so I'm going to shift my focus to these little white spaces. And those are the spaces created between my triangles. And I'm going to use those to make abstract looking desert flowers and just dot in little colors here and there. I think a core concept in training your artist's eye is to remember to notice rather than simply see things. So if you're just seeing things, like a landscape in front of you or a collection of shapes and colors, then you might try to, force an idea in your head, or you might just try to paint what you see versus tapping into what you notice. So what's beautiful and what's interesting to you, and trying to connect all those pieces together. And that brings forward a piece of art. That brings forward, the world through your eyes, which is worth looking at. And it's a really amazing experience to see it all come together. All right, so this desert piece is complete. I'm going to move on to the third panel, and I'm calling Dealer's Choice for this one. So I'm choosing a deep pink, a nice, beautiful blue, and a pretty purple, and I'm going to layer these and do little half circles. Something that I forgot to mention before is that I am periodically simply adding water to the piece as I go. This obviously creates more fluidity within the piece. And as I add more color and make my brush strokes, it will pull that water down further into the piece. And that creates these interesting little waterways and mini flows, and it gives you more to work with, I think. And while I'm painting this last panel, I just want to give a shout out, a big old shout out to my best friend of over 30 years, Maria. She gifted me these beautiful paints that I'm using today, the Viva color sheets. And I have to say, these are some of the most vibrant watercolor paints I've ever worked with. And they come in like a little pad like you've seen in the video. And I think they'd be great for painting on the go. I just wanted to throw that out there. This is in no way this is in no way an advertisement or anything. I'm just telling you about something I love. That was a gift from someone I love. And yeah, these are amazing. So thanks, Maria. And I just wanted to pass that along to all of you lovely viewers because these are amazing paints. All right, and it looks like this third panel is shaping up into a mountain range with a big old river bend at the bottom. And I'm sitting here looking at the other two scenes and appreciating how vastly different they are. The first one is a fiery forest and lake scene, and the second one is a close-up desert landscape. And I didn't have any of these scenes in mind in particular when I started. I just knew I wanted to do landscapes. So you can be more intentional with this. I selected the colors kind of at random. I did primary colors, then secondary colors, and then, this third one, I was just using colors I really like to use together. So if you want to have, if you're doing landscape, for instance, and you want the landscape to have a specific feel, you could do that using the colors that you've chosen if you want to be a little more intentional. But otherwise, you can just surprise yourself and pick 3 colors at random and see what happens. That's fun too. And if you've made it all the way to the end of the video, thanks so much for watching. I really hope this content helps you relax or gives you ideas for your own painting. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want more content like this, subscribe. As always, thanks so much for creating with me. Until next time, take care.